Hey, hurry up and wake up. Huh? Suddenly, I was really awakened by my husband. When I opened my eyes, my husband was looking down at me with an angry expression. If you neglect the housework, leave. You're just a parasite. That's how my husband berated me. At that moment, something inside me snapped. Okay, I understand. My name is Erica, and I'm a 34-year-old nurse. I married Ryan 5 years ago. We met at a mixer, and he approached me actively, leading us to start dating. He worked for a major company, and with his refreshing looks, he was very attractive, making him seem like a great catch. Even after we started dating, he always treated me with care and was a reliable presence. My feelings for him deepened day by day. About a year into our relationship, he proposed and we got engaged. I thought now was the only time for marriage. I decided to propose before Erica gets a year older. It seems he remembered my wish to get married in my 20s. I was drawn even more to his thoughtfulness. I happily accepted the proposal and we became husband and wife. After finishing the greetings with both parents and meeting each other's families, we held our wedding ceremony without a hitch. Married life started in a flash, and it was a happy and fulfilling new life. However, there were minor complaints. The main issue was that my husband did not help with household chores at all. He had no experience in cooking for himself, mainly relying on dining out or microwave food. For laundry, he would just lump everything together in the washing machine, and cleaning was only done when the room was extremely dirty, using a cleaning service. Even when I asked for help with the housework, he firmly refused, so all the household responsibilities fell on me. For me, who has night shifts, figuring out how to efficiently manage housework was always a problem. Yet, somehow, I balance housework and my job, going through each day. Though he did not do housework, my husband expressed gratitude for taking it all on me. Your cooking is always delicious. Making lunch for me, I really appreciate it. Such words of gratitude from him motivated me to keep up with the housework. In this situation, I had no choice but to handle the household chores alone. Even with minor issues, we continued a happy and loving marriage overall. Before I knew it, 5 years had passed since we got married. I believed that our peaceful and comfortable married life would continue forever. However, I recently started to feel something off about my husband's behavior. He seemed irritable and prone to anger. Hey, why isn't dinner ready yet? I'm sorry, I was especially busy today and came home late. It's rare for you to come home on time too. Huh? Is it a problem for you if I come home early? That's not it. It's just that I was delayed and haven't prepared dinner yet. You're making excuses. Your sloppiness is becoming too much. You used to be more put together. I'm troubled by you saying that. I'm also busy with a responsible position at work. Then why don't you just quit your job? Are you really thinking that? Yes, exactly. I work for a top-tier company. It's more fitting for a wife to focus on the household. The situation where my wife has to work is embarrassing for me. What do you mean by that? My husband has a strong sense of pride and sometimes says such things. I could endure it when it was rare, but recently such remarks and actions have increased, causing me significant mental strain. When he gets emotional, there's no telling what he'll do. It's really troubling. Really, if I quit my job, what would become of our lives? My husband prides himself on working for a major company, but his salary is on a downward trend, not to mention promotions. In reality, our livelihood is supported by my income, which he seems unaware of. Anyway, I want you to properly do the housework. Saying that, my husband plopped down on the sofa. I would like him to help, but saying so would only invite more trouble. I hurriedly prepared dinner in a rush. Fish again? I wanted meat. Even when I served dinner, my husband would complain like that. After finishing the meal, he would lie down on the sofa without cleaning up his dishes. I wish he would at least clean up his own dishes. While complaining in my mind, I reluctantly started washing both his and my dishes. Are you on a night shift tomorrow? Yes, that's right. So, there's no dinner for tomorrow night, huh? Yes, that's correct. Ryan always checks if I have a night shift. probably just to know if dinner will be prepared or not. Inside, I want to scream, "I'm not your housekeeper." We've been married for 5 years, but if this situation continues, it might be time to consider a divorce. We don't have children, and I have a stable job, so I should be fine on my own. Then something concerning happened. After returning from a night shift, I decided to take a shower. After getting out of the shower, thinking I could still make it in time for trash day, I decided to clean the hair from the bathroom drain and put it in a garbage bag. Among the collected hair, I found strands that were clearly not ours. Both my husband and I have black hair. The length of the hair suggested it belonged to a woman. Both my mother-in-law and my mother have black hair. It's unlikely they would come over and use the shower without us knowing. At that moment, a heavy suspicion crossed my mind. Could it be an affair? Was Ryan inviting another woman over while I was away on night shifts? I didn't want to accept such a fact, but I could think of no other explanation. Therefore, I decided to hire a detective agency to investigate. If my husband was indeed having an affair, it would be a betrayal. Thinking about it, the insults I had endured fueled my anger even more. Additionally, I decided to set up a hidden camera in the bedroom. Though I didn't want to think about it, if he was bringing another woman home, there could be inappropriate actions taking place in the bedroom. I began to secretly monitor my husband's actions, noticing that he often smiled while using his smartphone on the sofa, dealing with the daily dishes and harboring dissatisfaction with my husband. I hadn't noticed these changes in his behavior. When I approached while he was smiling, he quickly hid his smartphone and changed his expression to a serious one. This behavior seemed clearly suspicious. With these doubts in mind, I awaited the report from the detective agency. About a week later, I was contacted and went to receive the investigation report. As expected, the report confirmed my husband's infidelity. The other woman was a young lady working at a nightclub, 23 years old. Knowing this fact, my disappointment in my husband was immeasurable. Since that day happened to be a night shift, I decided to check the hidden camera footage the next day after returning home. After my husband left the house, I retrieved the camera from the bedroom and checked its contents. The footage clearly recorded my husband and the woman engaging in a relationship. This evidence made his betrayal clear, leaving no room for excuses. Though tired, I decided to collect the evidence and take it back to my parents' house to avoid the risk of my husband finding and losing the evidence. At my parents' house, I secured my safety and explained everything to them. They were openly angry at my husband and advised me to divorce him as soon as possible. So, on my way back, I stopped by the city hall to pick up a divorce form. After returning home and sitting on the sofa, the fatigue from the night shift overwhelmed me, and I unknowingly fell asleep. "Hey, wake up already!" Huh? Suddenly, I was violently shaken awake by my husband. As I opened my eyes, my husband was looking at me with an angry expression. It seems I had been asleep for a while. Was it already time for my husband to come home? Rubbing my eyes, I checked my phone. 2 p.m. still? Looking at the clock, it was still pointing to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I had returned home around 12:30 p.m., meaning I had only been asleep for about an hour and a half. However, why was my husband home at this time? Why are you home at this time? What about your work? I was in the middle of sales. I came back to pick up something I forgot. Oh, I see. But why wake me up? I'm sleepy after the night shift. Quiet. Don't talk back. It's strange to be sleeping past noon. Normally, you would be cleaning the house or preparing dinner by now. Wouldn't cleaning up bring out more evidence? Despite arguing in my mind against my husband's words, I said nothing on the surface and let the moment pass. I'm really tired today. I usually wake up and do the chores, so please forgive me for this once. No, I can't trust someone who lies. What? Liar. You're always deceiving. If you're going to neglect your chores, leave the house. Parasite. Being yelled at by my husband, something inside me snapped. Alright, then goodbye. Huh? I said I'm leaving. Hey, are you really going to do that? Yes, I'm serious. With those last words, I began packing my things. While my husband watched in confusion, he couldn't retract his words since he was the one who told me to leave. Do as you like. Leaving those words behind, my husband went back to work. I quickly packed my belongings and returned to my parents' house. Afterward, I withdrew all the money from our joint account. The truth is, we had a joint bank account, but my husband hadn't put any money into it for the past 6 months. We used to contribute to this account monthly and managed our living expenses from it. But since my husband stopped contributing to our household financially, we've been in a tough situation. Furthermore, a large sum of money was withdrawn last month. I realized that the savings I had diligently accumulated were almost gone. When I confronted my husband about it, I was told it was used for his father's surgery. However, when I visited my in-laws after deciding to divorce due to my husband's affair, they revealed there was no financial assistance needed for any surgery. Clearly, my husband used the funds for personal reasons, likely for his affair partner. To prevent any more wasteful spending of my earnings, I emptied the joint bank account. That night, my husband must have noticed that all my belongings were gone. He called me several times in a panic. Reluctantly answering, my husband exclaimed in despair, "Hey, did you really leave?" "Yes, exactly. I left the divorce papers on the dining table. I've already filled out my part. You should fill it out quickly too. Are you seriously considering divorce?" "Of course. I can't stay with you any longer." After saying that, my husband showed his anger as if his pride was hurt. "After all I've done to provide for you, don't you think you're lacking gratitude? Huh? It's a fact that you could live a comfortable life thanks to the major company I work for. On what basis are you saying such things? Have you forgotten that you're not getting promoted and your salary is only decreasing? Or are you intentionally overlooking it? In fact, my income is higher than yours." "What?" "Indeed, I have been supporting and wisely managing our household finances, even managing to save. Your income may be small, but you felt it was sufficient because you were spending it on yourself. Moreover, you've been withdrawing money from our joint account without permission to spend on your affair partner." When I brought up his affair, he was clearly disturbed. "What are you talking about? Me having an affair is impossible. Where's the evidence for that?" "Unfortunately for you, all the evidence is in place. There are photos taken by the detective and videos from the hidden camera I installed in the bedroom. I've already shown them to your parents. I am definitely proceeding with the divorce and will be demanding compensation." Upon my declaration, my husband started to panic. "Wait a minute. It was just a bit of fun. The only one who's important to me is Erica." "What are you talking about? Recently, you've been cold to me, and ultimately you even told me to leave the house. I wasn't, serious. I don't want to hear such excuses. I'm fed up with you. Acknowledge the mistakes you've made and reflect on them. This can't be. Let's discuss this through lawyers from now on." "Wait, Erica." He said that, but I ended the call. After that, I hired a lawyer and demanded a divorce from my husband. I also filed for compensation against my husband and his affair partner. Thanks to an excellent lawyer, I was able to claim $30,000 from both my husband and his partner. My husband was reluctant about the divorce and the compensation payment until the end, but after being strongly persuaded by my in-laws, he reluctantly accepted it. I successfully finalized the divorce from my husband. My ex-husband tried to continue the relationship with his affair partner, but as soon as she realized his income wasn't much, she quickly dumped him. Additionally, not only was my ex-husband low in work capabilities, but the fact that he got divorced due to an affair spread in his workplace, leading to a drop in his reputation. As a result, his position in the company worsened, and his hopes for promotion were completely dashed. Furthermore, he was disowned by my in-laws and is now living alone, struggling with debt repayment. It's his own doing, so it can't be helped, but it's truly pitiable. On the other hand, I have moved to a condominium closer to my work and am enjoying living alone. Thanks to separating from my husband, I have been able to save more smoothly, and my assets are steadily increasing. For now, I plan to focus on my work and maybe consider dating again once things have settled down. Currently, my priority is to care for my patients, and I intend to work while making the most of each day. I am Rachel, a 44-year-old housewife. As the wife of Danny, who owns a company, I served as the sales manager. One evening, I was shocked by the words uttered by Danny when he returned home. I fathered a child with a beautiful 29-year-old employee. Please, can we get a divorce? I was stunned by his words. Unable to keep up with this unexpected event, I felt lost in thought. I told my husband that I wanted to discuss this with the three of us at a later date and laid down in bed. Kristen was pregnant. The reason we couldn't have children was because of me. Even though I thought my love for Danny had run out, I couldn't stop crying. The next day, I overheard a conversation between Danny and Kristen. Why didn't you leave your wife who can't even have children? She's good at her job. There's no reason to fire her. Then, let's just leave it at that. Once the baby is born, we can make her take care of it. That's smart, Kristen. She's older, so she must have plenty of parenting knowledge. Hearing their laughter, I felt anger. How selfish of them to say such things. They can laugh about it now, but they'll deeply regret underestimating me. I met Danny again at a gathering with friends from my college days 10 years ago. Danny was the only son of a well-known local business and lost his father in childhood. His mother was the company's chairperson. In college, I had classes with Danny, but he was always surrounded by people. Feeling inferior due to our different backgrounds, I hardly had a chance to get close to him. However, upon reuniting, I found him to be unpretentious about his wealth, friendly, and outgoing. Later, when we dined together, Danny asked me out and eventually proposed. My family was just an ordinary salaried worker's household. I was worried his mother might oppose our relationship, but she accepted me easily during our visit. It seemed my college education in accounting, finance, and business management, along with the qualifications I had obtained, left a good impression. After our engagement, I joined Danny's company and then worked as the sales manager. Raised seeing my parents' loving relationship, I always longed for a married life, believing I could build a happy home with someone I love. But I never imagined that this happiness would crumble in just 10 years of marriage. Initially, Danny was very kind, but as a company president with extensive social obligations, his weekends were almost always busy. Danny had friends, but they were strangers to me. I thought I would be left out, but he invited me to activities like barbecues, camping, and skiing and introduced me to his friends, including men, women, couples, and married individuals. Since I had no friends of the different gender, I was anxious about Danny's female friends, but he handled it appropriately. Neither his female friends nor he ever behaved inappropriately, and I felt reassured. Danny was friendly to everyone, regardless of their marital status or gender. As someone shy around new people, I respected him for that. However, over the years, Danny's attitude gradually became colder. He frowned when he saw me, sighed, and looked displeased at the cosmetics in the bathroom. Danny, our anniversary is coming up. Should I make a reservation at our usual restaurant? Danny responded grumpily. As you can see, I'm busy. I don't have time to go to a restaurant. But every year, no matter how busy, you always made time for that day. He sighed deeply and replied irritably. If you want to go that badly, go by yourself. Don't act like we're still newlyweds. I was hurt by his harsh treatment. Telling myself he was just tired and irritable, I chose a tie from his favorite brand as a birthday gift, but he didn't appreciate it. Rachel, you really have no taste. I'm tired of this brand. It's just filling up the drawer. All I could say was I'm sorry. Even after carefully choosing it online and in stores, I didn't expect such a response. I have no memory of particularly angering him. Even though he claimed to be busy, Danny regularly attended gatherings with his friends. I began to wonder if he didn't want to go out with me. Then, something even more shocking happened. When Danny suggested a trip to the shopping mall, I was thrilled and began to prepare eagerly. I put on new clothes, special day makeup, and waited excitedly for Danny to get ready. But when he saw me ready to go, he sneered and said, "What's with that outfit? Consider your age. Don't wear skirts like that." Really? Is it not okay? I was bewildered. Do you even realize how old you are? You're in your 40s, a middle-aged woman. Your makeup and hairstyle are too flashy. It's unbecoming. You used to be attractive, but not anymore. His words, belittling me, stung. But your friends dress fashionably, right? They are beautiful, so it's fine for them. You're different. Trying to look young at your age, it's embarrassing. I'm not trying to act young. When I tried to argue, Danny became irritated and clicked his tongue. Dress more normally. Do you want to embarrass me? Forget it. I don't feel like going out anymore. You ruined the mood after I had made the effort to ask you out. He showed his disgust, scratching his head and throwing his jacket on the sofa before retreating to his study upstairs. Made pasta for lunch. I want it in 30 minutes, he called down from the staircase. I was just a little excited for a rare outing. Why did it upset Danny? I bit my lip, holding back tears, changed into my room wear, removed my makeup, and started preparing lunch. Thinking about it, Danny is the same age as me. If I am a middle-aged woman, then he is a middle-aged man too. I might not be beautiful, but Danny is just an ordinary middle-aged man. Raised to be a future company president, he is full of high self-esteem and confidence. Before we got married, I found these traits attractive, but I never imagined being scorned like this. Sometimes complaints rise to my lips. However, since we work at the same place, I often have to see Danny at work. Considering the impact our awkward relationship might have at work, I end up yielding and trying to appease his mood, while he takes the lead at home. Outside, he is friendly and gets along with everyone easily. A typical second-generation business owner, he lacks management skills, but his bright smile and approachability make him loved by business partners. In contrast, his surliness at home is like that of a different person. I'm the president. I can't eat such mundane food. Even microwave food would be better. He complains, having microwave food next to me while I eat? Always dissatisfied unless it's what he wants. Moreover, he seems displeased when I go out while he's at home. Leaving your husband alone and going out? Can you even call yourself a housewife? I'm just going shopping. I've prepared something easy for lunch, and I'll be back before dinner. You should cook yourself. You're a housewife. Living off my earnings and still have it easy. True, my income is lower than Danny's as a company president, but I also work full-time and earn a decent salary. I contribute properly to our household, so I don't see why I should be complained at. Especially when Danny first took over the company from his mother and caused problems due to his inexperience. I was the one running around to apologize to our partners. You were attractive 10 years ago, but now you're like an old, worn-out rag. Lately, whenever he speaks, he comments on my appearance. You failed as a wife the moment you couldn't have children. Staying married to you is an act of mercy. You should be grateful. I wanted children too. But it was fate. Should we get checked at the hospital? There's still a chance. Even when I suggest this, Danny shakes his head. I don't want to waste money. It must be your fault. But I forgive you because you're good at your job. When my stress builds up, I meet with my old friend Jenny and confide in her. Since our university days, she understands Danny's character well. Because Danny is good at keeping up appearances outside, he vents his frustrations on you at home, doesn't he? Jenny said, frowning with her chin in her hand. Danny often came to you, crying for help, didn't he? I wonder if he thinks he's grown the company all by himself? I guess he's forgotten to be grateful, I muttered softly. I did my best too, despite the support from his mother and other executives. Thank you, Jenny. Talking to you has made me feel better. When I expressed my gratitude, Jenny responded with a gentle smile. I'm always on your side. Feel free to rely on me anytime. I'll be here to help. Her words lightened my heart a bit. Lately, Danny's behavior has been clearly strange. He goes out every weekend and his weekdays end late into the night. Yet, he doesn't seem tired at all, rather always in a good mood. On Sunday night, after finishing the housework, I was reading in the living room when Danny went out again. He would probably return late that night, but unexpectedly, around 8 p.m., Danny came home. He entered the living room, his face flushed and unable to hide his excitement. "Welcome home, you're early today." "Rachel, I have great news." "What happened?" "I'm going to have a child." I was shocked, my eyes wide. "What?" "I fathered a child with a beautiful 29-year-old female employee." "Please, let's get divorced." I stared at him in surprise, struggling to comprehend this unforeseen event. "I'm finally going to be a father, a successor. Mother will be happy too." "Wait, you've been having an affair?" When I asked in shock, Danny calmly answered. "Do you know the accountant, Kristen Wagner?" "Yes, she's certainly beautiful, right? She's young and stylish, in her 20s and capable at her job. After all, youth is important in a woman." I knew Kristen was beautiful, but it was news to me that she was competent at her work. "So, you're no longer needed. Let's get a divorce." His blunt statement angered me. I had accumulated grievances against Danny over the past 10 years, and though I had no lingering attachment to our marriage, I wasn't simple enough to agree immediately with "yes, I understand." If he had been unfaithful all this while, I would have to demand significant compensation from both of them. I'm confused by this sudden news. Let's invite Kristen here later and discuss this among the three of us. When I suggested that, Danny cheerfully agreed. "Okay, I'll let her know." Watching him go to take a shower, I closed a book I was reading. I went upstairs to the bedroom and laid down on my bed. A sense of emptiness washed over me. More than being cheated on, the reality of him having a child crushed me. Danny had always wanted a child, especially a successor. Of course, there's no guarantee it would be a boy, but I never got pregnant in the first place. The fact that Kristen was pregnant meant the problem was with me. If we had a baby, maybe I would be raising it with Danny by now. Despite having lost all fondness for him, I couldn't stop crying. The next morning, with swollen eyes, I went to the office early and brewed myself a coffee to wake myself up. As I was about to step into the corridor, I overheard Danny and Kristen's conversation through the door. Was she shocked? Yeah, she was stunned. She really didn't notice the affair? That's laughable. It's been going on for 2 years now, Kristen giggled. Why didn't you let go of a woman who couldn't even have children sooner? Kristen asked. To which Danny replied, she can handle housework and is good at her job. If we got divorced, she would probably go to another company. Then, let's just keep things as they are for now. Once the baby is born, we can make her take care of it as the president's child, Kristen suggested, and Danny seemed impressed. That's smart, Kristen. She's older, so she probably knows a lot about raising children. If we say it's for the child, she'll listen. They laughed heartily. I clenched my fists in anger. They were only talking selfishly. Their laughter would only last for now. I'll make them regret underestimating me. After making meticulous preparations, I told Danny to invite Kristen to our house in 2 weeks. And then the day came. Kristen arrived as if she was visiting a friend's house. Sorry for intruding. Wow, Danny's house is really lovely. I've wanted to visit here for a long time. Watching Kristen's eyes sparkle, Danny arrogantly said, You should have said so earlier. I had her prepare a meal to welcome you. Ignoring my displeased face, Kristen wandered around the house curiously. The kitchen is so spacious and stylish. It's totally different from my small apartment. Your apartment is cute too. It has a young girl's vibe. Really? Can I see the other rooms too? Kristen asked indiscreetly, and Danny nodded satisfactorily, leading the way. This is the guest room, and next to it is the sunroom. It's enviable to have a sunroom, but there are so few houseplants. It's a waste of such a big space. Is this Rachel's taste? Kristen expressed dissatisfaction in a space with a glass table and an indoor hammock. She came to apologize for the affair, yet she had the nerve to criticize the interior of someone else's home. Well, a sane person wouldn't think of having her child raised by the CEO's wife. Rachel isn't as gentle as you, Kristen. Whenever she tries to grow plants, they just die. It seems like plants don't like her, Denny said. That's too bad, Rachel, Kristen responded with a laugh. We came here to talk, right? Let's sit down at the table, I said coldly. I waited for Danny and Kristen to sit on the opposite sofa at the table and then began speaking. I want to confirm again, Kristen, you're pregnant with Danny's child, right? I asked. They nodded. Rachel, I'm really sorry. But this is fate, Kristen pleaded with tears in her eyes, looking at me. I was irritated by her overfamiliar way of addressing me. We have a child coming. Danny and I were meant to be together in a past life. Your marriage to him was a mistake. If we don't correct this mistake and start a new life, both of you might become unhappy. I love both of you, so I can't allow that to happen. Hearing Kristen's bizarre rationale, I smirked sarcastically. I was past anger, now just astounded by her self-justification. I truly love Danny from the bottom of my heart. So please, let me have his child, Kristen implored with a sweet, sorrowful voice. Moved by her words, Danny appeared to hold back tears of emotion. Kristen, I love you deeply too. It would be too cruel for the child born into this world to grow up without knowing a father's love. As the heir, the child must be raised with love by both parents. Danny spoke earnestly. Watching Danny and Kristen converse closely, my heart drifted further away. Any remaining affection for him had completely vanished, and I could no longer imagine a future together as a couple. I understand. But in exchange, I'm quitting my job, I said with resolve, and Danny's face showed distress as he furrowed his brow. Don't quit. At your age, it will be hard to find work. Considering your contributions to the company, I'll allow you to continue working, Danny appealed. Do you really think so? I have management qualifications, and I can find work elsewhere, I retorted confidently. Danny, you're so kind. Since the president says so, Rachel, there's no problem with you staying at the company. I don't mind at all, Kristen said with a broad smile. I glanced coldly at Kristen and sighed deeply. Her words further chilled my heart. Impossible. Because that woman. I paused, taking a breath to prepare myself to reveal a shocking fact. They didn't yet know that my next words would completely change the atmosphere of the room. In fact, she's been misusing company funds. What did you say? Kristen's eyes widened for a moment. Then she averted her gaze from Danny to the floor. What did you just say? Danny couldn't hide his blatant dismay. I explained the details meticulously. She had been personalizing funds under the guise of entertainment and business trips. She was filling in blank receipts with amounts herself. As Danny's complexion changed, I continued calmly. For 2 years, no one but me noticed. But recently, after interviewing a few people involved, the truth finally came to light. I said with a sigh, even though it's a family-run business, such lax management is reason enough to cut ties. After the divorce, it's really a hassle to see your faces. So, I'll look for another job. Don't make baseless accusations, Kristen retorted with a strained face. Where's your proof? I directly questioned the finance manager you deceived, and the vice president brought out the truth. It's all recorded. Do you want to see it? I said, pulling out my cell phone. At that moment, Kristen covered her face with her hands and began to cry bitterly. I'm sorry. My father's company went bankrupt. My mother fell ill from the shock and was hospitalized. My brothers rebelled against the family, made debts, and disappeared. My salary alone couldn't support the family, so I ended up doing it. Kristen spoke through her tears. It was like she had prepared eye drops, given the amount of crying. Danny was easily fooled by her story, sympathizing while holding her shoulder. That must have been really tough. If you had told me, I could have helped, Danny said. I didn't want to burden you, Danny. The money I used has all gone to paying off the debts, so I can't return it. Kristen excused herself. Danny seemed to take her word for it. but she probably just spent it all herself. What are you saying? There's no need to be so reserved. Crying too much will affect a baby. How much was it? Danny asked. $20,000. Of course, I'll make sure you pay it all back. Depending on how you behave, I might sue you for embezzlement, I replied. That amount, we can cover it. Who else knows about this? Danny asked. The entire board, I answered. Then, I'll keep them quiet. Kristen, don't do it again. Yes, I've learned my lesson. Thank you, Kristen said, showing gratitude as Danny stroked her head. I just watched the exchange, utterly astounded. Danny's response as a president was unbelievably lenient, like a low-quality romance drama. Suppressing my nausea, I continued the conversation. So, Kristen, you were also working a night job to help your family? I asked. Danny momentarily couldn't hide his disturbance, but quickly regained his composure. The company doesn't restrict part-time jobs, but you should have reported it, Danny answered. Kristen twisted her face slightly and murmured a quiet, I'm sorry. I didn't miss the slight tension in Kristen's expression at that moment. While smiling subtly, I pointed to the photos spread out on the table. Looking at these photos might affect the baby. But if you've decided that, Kristen, I'll respect it, I said. My words were laden with hidden meaning. They still didn't know that the truth of this situation would soon become clear. Danny and Kristen looked at the photos, momentarily speechless. Kristen quickly grabbed one of them. This is, Danny started, just a commemorative photo with a client. Danny, you don't want to see any more, do you? Kristen responded with a forced smile, but I quickly spread another photo in front of Danny. Danny gasped. The photos captured Kristen entering a hotel cozily with various men. Each picture suggested she was intimately involved with multiple men. Kristen tried to grab the photos in a panic, but it was too late. Danny was lost for words. Kristen started making excuses. It's not what it looks like. I just felt sick during a date outside the store and went into rest. I didn't do anything wrong. Danny, believe me. She pleaded with teary eyes, but Danny's expression was shaken. Is that really true? Danny asked. How cruel not to believe me. I love only you, Danny. Kristen clung to him, appealing passionately. Danny appeared to be in a complex state of mind regarding Kristen's behavior. I stood up with a sigh, brought out my personal computer from the bedroom, and plugged in a USB provided by a private investigator, playing decisive audio evidence. As Kristen's voice filled the room, Danny clutched his head and screamed. It was the moment when the truth of the situation was finally exposed. My actions had revealed the facts. Please stop. The hotel walls are surprisingly thin. It was easy to record with devices placed along the wall. Modern technology is amazing, I said calmly as Kristen stood up and approached me with a furious expression. Shame on you. Are you going to tear us apart by doing this? You're not considering Danny's feelings at all. You don't care about hurting anyone, Kristen accused with an angry voice. I'm just revealing the truth. You're the one who hurt Danny. And are you really pregnant? Or do you just want the status of a CEO's wife? I asked quietly. It's not true. My belly will start showing soon. It's definitely Danny's child, Kristen exclaimed. With those photos, who knows who the father is? I replied calmly. It's a mother's intuition. Kristen insisted. Intuition, I said with a wry smile. I was speechless at her audacity. Kristen stepped closer and confronted me, raising her voice. The other men were just for fun. Danny is the only serious one. Unfortunately, I can't understand that kind of thinking. I shrugged and then turned to Danny. What do you think, Danny? If a child who doesn't resemble you at all is born, will you still raise it as your heir? Danny stumbled over his words. Well, This moment was a turning point. The evidence I provided spoke for itself. I sarcastically commented on Danny's hesitation. So, as long as it's a boy, it doesn't matter if the child is someone else's. Just like a cuckoo. What are you talking about? my genes are there, so it's not someone else's child. And you, being infertile, have no right to say anything. Danny showed his anger. Why are you so arrogant despite being ugly? I've hated you since I joined the company. Acting all high and mighty just because you're good at your job? Kristen glared and raged. Getting too friendly with male employees, flirting with the boss. It's so annoying. She raised her voice further. I listened silently to Kristen's aggressive words, but she continued her tirade. You must be jealous because I'm pretty, right? You think you're a winner because you married the president, but you're wrong. Kristen laughed loudly. Enough, stop this talk now. Danny tried to stop her with a look of disgust, but she was too heated to cease. Despite Danny's attempts to calm her, Kristen kept lashing out. This situation went beyond a mere argument. Unable to have children, plain looking. In the past, you would have been divorced already, but it's a good era now. All because Danny is generous. You're imperfect and are only in this house out of pity. But that ends today. I will take over as the president's wife, and you should go back to being single. Kristen declared strongly. I lacked the energy to argue against Kristen's tirade and just listened passively until the living room door opened. Danny turned pale at the sight of the person entering. Mom, the chairwoman, perfect timing. Kristen stood up and greeted my mother-in-law. I'm honored to meet you, Mother. I'm Kristen Wagner from the accounting department. I'm pregnant with Danny's child, likely a boy. As I'm carrying the heir, I'll be marrying Danny. My mother-in-law pressed her temple with an exasperated expression. Sighing deeply, she said in a low voice, Danny, can you somehow calm this frivolous woman down? Well, Mother. A surprised Kristen stood frozen. My mother-in-law, with a stern look, scolded Danny. Only Rachel has the right to call me Mother. Danny, it's because you're not careful that such odd women approach you. She raised her voice. Kristen appeared a bit shaken, but forced a smile. Mother. I mean, chairwoman. In my belly is Danny's baby. My mother's intuition tells me it's a boy. I will bear a worthy successor in place of Rachel. Considering the future of the company, a child is necessary, right? Kristen pleaded desperately. However, she dismissed Kristen's plea coldly. It doesn't matter if my grandchild is a boy or girl. To want to be the CEO's wife, what a thought. To say such a thing after embezzling company funds. Wait, Mom. She's had a very complicated family situation. Can't you show some mercy? Danny tried to explain Kristen's situation, but his mother replied with a scoff. Such a naive child. Do you really believe that? Seeing the documents she placed on the table, Danny's face turned to despair. Mother, you've been investigating Kristen's actions too. I see. Looking at the documents, I smirked. Your parents work for a renowned company, and your brother studied abroad. Your family is far wealthier than my own. So, you used the embezzled funds for yourself, didn't you? Danny stared at Kristen in shock. There are photos of your extensive shopping at branded stores. You have debts from credit card payments. It's something like that, isn't it? Danny's mother chuckled. Moreover, the gynecologist Kristen visited is run by my acquaintance. When I asked, it turns out she isn't pregnant. Really? You're being treated for menstrual irregularities, right? Kristen blushed at her mocking expression. You old woman. How dare you expose my privacy? All right. Anyway, prepare yourself for embezzlement charges. Ms. Cohen, please proceed. Understood, Chairwoman. As Jenny, the family lawyer, appeared behind my mother-in-law, I sent her a smile. Yes, my best friend Jenny, our company's legal advisor. When Kristen's embezzlement came to light, I informed my mother-in-law and immediately consulted Jenny. We had been waiting for the right moment to pursue this issue when Danny asked me for a divorce. I'm sorry for lying about being pregnant, but my love for Danny is real. I want you to believe me. As Kristen appealed with tearful eyes, Danny's expression softened. Kristen. Then my mother-in-law, as if remembering something, said, Right, Danny. You're stepping down as president because of this affair. Danny and Kristen gasped. For just an affair. For having an affair with a woman who embezzled. That's only right. There's not a single board member defending you. No way. Danny held his head, his body trembling. You were kind and good at entertaining clients. That was your saving grace despite your lack of competence. His mother continued coldly. But a foolish son who belittles Rachel, who contributed to the company, and chooses an affair with a brainless young woman is unnecessary. You're lying. I'm being fired. Help me. I was deceived by Kristen. Danny cried out. Mom, I was wrong. It was just a whim. I'll break up with Kristen, so let me stay at the company. I can't change jobs at this age. Danny begged his mother pathetically, to which Kristen looked disgusted. What? You were all over me, but now that you're abandoned by your mother, you act like this. You're the worst. Kristen's eyes widened in anger. I approached you because you are a company president. Otherwise, I wouldn't get close to a man 15 years older than me. What? I thought you were into me regardless of my title. You liar. How naive you are to believe such a story. That's why you're easily deceived by me? Hearing Kristen's words, my mother-in-law shook her head in disbelief. You two are quite alike. In that respect, you're well matched. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Checking the camera at the entrance, there was a police officer. Perhaps mindful of the surroundings, the police car arrived without sirens. Kristen, not expecting to be actually arrested, was clearly disturbed. When the police officer entered the room, Kristen immediately tried to ingratiate herself. Please, listen to me. I was deceived by the finance manager. Let's discuss the details at the station. We need your cooperation. Being treated indifferently, Kristen clicked her tongue and was taken away in the police car. Standing dumbfounded at the entrance, Danny collapsed onto the sofa when he returned to the living room. That same day, the finance manager, a co-conspirator, was also arrested. However, as both were first-time offenders, they were quickly released. Kristen, with no savings, borrowed money to repay the full amount and the compensation to me. Naturally losing her job, she reportedly rejoined the nightclub where she previously worked and started another part-time job during the day. Forced to work day and night, including weekends, she seemingly lost the luxury to care about her appearance. When I recently saw her on the street, she looked exhausted, a shadow of her once attractive self. On the other hand, Danny, after the divorce, was spared from dismissal thanks to his mother's mercy and transferred to a regional branch. His demotion from the presidency was widely known within the company, and Danny continued working in a difficult environment, receiving cold stares from his colleagues. Forsaken by his mother and having spent all his savings on my compensation, Danny came to me asking for reconciliation. Rachel, I was wrong. I won't cheat again. Let's start over. I'm in financial trouble. Don't abandon me, okay? Why don't you rely on the young woman you loved so much? Your salary may be reduced, but you have a job, so work properly. After firmly rejecting him on the phone and blocking his contact, he finally seemed to give up. According to his mother, Danny's former brightness was gone. He worked silently every day and spent his weekends confined to his room. Then Danny's cousin, who was formerly the vice president, became the new president. I was promoted to a director position on the board, being recognized for my past achievements. The new president, though not very eloquent, was sincere and supported by the employees. My work became busier than before, but my days were fulfilling. Though I divorced Danny, I occasionally enjoy having meals with my mother-in-law. Considering that she never rushed me into having an heir despite being the chairwoman of the company, I've come to respect her even more after these events. I've cut ties with Danny, but I hope to continue a close relationship with my mother-in-law as a mentor in life.